You know, here we are midsummer here in Iowa, and I'm just out doing some scouting, glassing deer, kind of taking an inventory of what I've got, and doing it from a distance. I've got one of the new Alpen spotting scopes. It's a 20 by 60, but one of the things I really like about this, it comes with a tripod, and it's got micro adjustments, so it's real easy to zoom in and move around and find those animals. But basically, this is a great tool to help me manage the farm all year round. If you're looking for a great way to do some scouting, do it in the evening from a distance with a nice spotting scope. You know, good optics are a must for a hunter, particularly binoculars, not only during hunting season, but times like this when it's time to start scouting. But there's one thing you need to do when you get your binoculars that a lot of people don't realize. You need to set them up for yourself. Everybody's eyes are a little bit different. And here's how I do it. It's simple and easy. Just take the binoculars and just kind of grab good focus on an object. And I go and put my hand over the left lens. The diopter ring, which is on the right side, I will go ahead and adjust that until that right eye is in focus. Once it is, I take the hand off the other side, both eyes in focus, and you're ready to go. It's simple and easy, and it's a must that you do this before you go out and use them. Good evening, everybody. I'm Rick White, live from right here in Indiana, and you're watching On the Hunt with Alpen Optics. Tonight, special guest Mike McDonald, all the way from Kentucky, and we might even talk to John Dallis a little bit, who's sitting right beside me. But and don't forget, towards the end of the show, our weekly special. Well, good evening, everybody. Once again, I'm Rick White, and you're watching On the Hunt with Alpen Optics. Mike McDonald is here live with us from Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Mike, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing really pretty good. You know, I'm here in Indiana with fellow pro staff member John Dallis, and I drove in from Iowa yesterday and drove through the snow pretty much the whole way. Got here and it was 61 degrees, and then last night we had a storm roll through, and this morning I got up and there was 2 inches of snow on the ground. But you know, still had a great hunt this morning. Now I know you've been out doing a little bit of turkey hunting. I thought we might talk a little bit of turkey hunting for the first 5 or 10 minutes, and then we're going to get into some other things. But I know you've been hunting in Kentucky quite a bit. What have you been experiencing?
Well, a lot of the birds, it's weird. A lot of our birds are still together. The other day I was hunting and I had 7 gobblers come in together with 1 hen. I don't know. I really don't know why they're all still together, but that's what I'm hearing kind of all over. Not a lot of hens, so I don't know if they're all bred, but just a lot of gobblers running together. And a lot of people are saying they're not working real good. They're acting funny. But the good thing is seeing birds, and that's better than the last couple of years when it seemed like the birds were on the decline. So,
well, you know, I wanted to say something that I was pretty sure you weren't going to, but I was already privy to this information. But you missed a turkey yesterday, I believe. I think yesterday. So let's talk about that a little bit. How do you miss a turkey? You always tell me this. How do you miss a turkey? Well, how did you miss a turkey at less than 40 yards? And by the way, not only did you have one opportunity, but there's 5 different gobblers that came in. And anyways, but it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yesterday I was out and I wasn't filming. I was just kind of hunting by myself. I got the opportunity a couple weeks ago. I met a guy in the military and he was struggling to get a bird, and I really wanted him to get a bird. So I kind of gave up the first couple of days of my season to help out a soldier, help them guys out. And I mean, it's just as fun to watch them get a bird. So I hunted with him a couple days. We ended up calling in. I think we had 7 birds in the field, and he killed his first longbeard here in Kentucky. He's getting ready to be restationed, and he'll be in North Carolina. And it's good for me and you, because now he said he's got a place for us to come to North Carolina and hunt. So I'm looking forward to that.
You and I both started, we hunted down in Florida. Oh, it's been a few weeks now, and it was 90 degrees a couple of days I was out, and kind of a weather shock to come here. But it's been a tough season for me in several places. Now, a lot of people I've been talking to in a lot of different states say their turkey numbers are down. So, even in Iowa, where we have a lot of turkeys, our numbers are down. And I went from down south to Iowa, hunted our first season, and it was lucky enough to tag out. But it was tough. What I found there, and I'm finding that kind of throughout the Midwest right now, is to me, it seems like it's almost like it's almost too early. The turkeys are they're still flocked up in pretty good groups. The hens are, and I had 7, 8, 9 hens, and sometimes more, and 5 or 6 gobblers in one group, and they just haven't split up yet. The other thing that I noticed, we had a lot of wind, so these turkeys weren't coming into the fields. And just like most of the states I've been in, these turkeys are gobbling on the roost. They hit the ground, and they're just about done gobbling, and that makes them tough to hunt. Now, what are you experiencing on the gobbling side down there right now?
Well, I didn't want to tell a lot of people, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there. I've been hunting at Fort Knox, which is public land here in Kentucky. And where we've been hunting at, they open areas up in different numbers. So they'll open up like a quadrant of area, and they'll leave maybe a couple areas around it that doesn't have no hunting pressure. And then they'll open them up further on. So where we've been hunting at the last couple of days, it just opened. And the first morning we hunted it, I think we counted 13 birds gobbling, probably within 400 yards of us. So we had a lot of birds on us. And of course, we killed one and had 7 in the field. So it was kind of sketchy. But going back to the miss, the very next morning, he decided he was going to go sit up on a food plot in the blind. And I was going to go just around the ridge, not too far from him, but about 400 or 500 yards down the road. And I had a bird gobble on the roost. He flew down gobbling, and it was just one bird gobbling. And I'd actually called this bird in to about 80 yards, and he would not commit. He wouldn't come down the hill to me. So I let him walk off. He probably went 200 yards. I got up and moved up the hill slightly, probably about 75 or 80 yards, about where he was when he first came. And I cut real loud, and he gobbled. And then the next time he gobbled, I knew he was on his way back. Well, this time I was in a little closer, and I couldn't believe it. I seen one head, then another head, then another head, and ended up being 5 or 6 birds strutting. And I don't really know what happened. I mean, I had a great shot. He was just the way he was coming. I had a bunch of honeysuckle to my left, and I had to take that 40-yard shot that we all dread. That, most of the time it works out, but this time I shot, and I shot again, and then tried to run. And I think I pulled a muscle in my back because it ain't,
Well, so I hunted first season. I was successful, and then fellow pro staff member Wayne Shaw from Georgia and his buddy Edwin Pope, they came up, and I ran with them for a few days, and they were fortunate enough to take turkeys as well. So I've got a really good filmed hunt that I'm looking forward to seeing on the next video. But now I'm in Indiana, and I'm actually going to let John Dallis jump in for just a couple of minutes and kind of tell you a little bit about what we experienced here this morning and how important his scouting in the last couple of weeks has been. And we're just going to do a quick flop here, and I'll let John jump in front of the camera for a second. John, tell them a little bit about what happened this morning.
Well, we like Rick said, the numbers are down here in Indiana, and we've experienced on some of the farms that I've been hunting no turkeys. So in Indiana here, it's real critical right now that you've done your homework and scouted the turkeys. But I'd scouted this one turkey for the last 3 weeks for Rick, and he was doing the same thing every morning, pretty much every morning. Sometimes you'd see him in the evening, but the morning turkey for sure. And he was probably this morning when we got there and he started gobbling on the roost. I would say he was 200 yards into the woods when he was usually on the field line. And Rick started calling, and about an hour later, he come in and worked to the decoys with the Jake, and Rick made a great shot on him. So it was really great.
What was it like in that snow?
It was pretty cold. Wasn't prepared for that. Not as much snow this morning. I wasn't prepared for, but we got it done. It was beautiful. The bird looked just really beautiful coming into the decoys, and that was my first experience of that for sure.
So I gotta ask. I've only hunted with Rick one time when it was cold. Did he make you rub his feet too?
All right, Mike.
I had to get you.
All right,
but hopefully tomorrow it's my turn, and hopefully I have some good luck, and I hope all the other pro staff members are having great luck too.
Good luck, John. I hope you get one tomorrow.
All right, buddy.
Jump
Thank
back
you.
in here, and you know, I want to also say this. I would like it would be nice to let people know that every time I go turkey hunting, I shoot turkeys because of me. But honestly, that's not the truth. I got the phone ringing here. Let me turn that off. But you know, it's because of people like John, the landowners, the guys I'm hunting with. They go out and do the scouting, and that is a huge reason why I'm successful and shoot as many turkeys as I do. Sometimes it's because of me, but you know, here's a situation. It was because of John that I was successful. So, anyways, that's kind of what's going on with turkeys right now. I'm here in a few days. I'm actually going to be heading down to see Mike and be hunting in Kentucky, and he and I are going to run around a little bit together. So I'm looking forward to that. But we also wanted to talk a little bit about, Mike, something that you do a lot of, and it's a couple of things. I mean, you do a lot of fishing. You're fishing right now. I know you've been doing real well, but you're also a bow fisherman, and you do a lot of that because you invite me every year, and I see all the photos and stuff. So let's talk a little bit about crappie fishing, because I know you've been doing a lot of that right now, you know, and what's going on there.
Well, here in Kentucky, as you said, crappie are our main target this time of the year, but we also have white bass, and they run this time of the year. Usually when the dogwoods are blooming or the red buds are starting to bud out is a good time to go fishing. And it's a great time to take kids fishing because there's a lot of activity. A lot of your crappie start moving up closer to the banks. A lot of your white bass and hybrids, which some people call them wipers, some people call them hybrid stripers, but white bass hybrids, they will run. However, the hybrids, they don't actually spawn, but it's just in their nature, and they'll still run up and go up the creek with the white bass. But probably, I would say our crappie season is starting to taper down now. A lot of the fish are starting to spawn out. Last week we still were catching limits of fish, mostly males, not a lot of females. A week ago, we was catching all females, which tells me they probably went up and spawned, and the males are coming in to fertilize the eggs, which is great. Our water levels have been perfect here. It hasn't been flooded. And, I mean, you couldn't ask for nothing better. Usually this time of the year, we have a lot of spring rains and the water fluctuates, and we might lose some of our spawn. But we did really well here.
You know, maybe we should get your daughter on. I see her running around back there. Maybe she wants to get on and say hi. If she comes by, grab her and we'll show her off.
You want to say hi? Yeah, that's my little turkey hunting buddy. Last year, she actually had her first turkey hunt. This is my baby.
Hey.
Katie. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Last year was her first time turkey hunting, and we did get a shot, didn't we? We got a shot at a bird, but we missed. And the bird was acting really goofy with the decoy. I mean, it was a jake, and he ran into it, and then he was kind of running back and forth. And for a 5-year-old trying to get on a gun and it's on a shooting stick. It was just, I mean, it's on film and you all might see it eventually on Through the Eyes of a Hunter, but it's a miss. But it was just awesome to get her out and get her shot the first time that we went out, with her with me. So it was pretty awesome.
That's great. And she's a lot cuter than you are. But hey, so tell me a little bit about a non-resident wants to come to Kentucky and go fishing. Do you have any idea what it costs for a license? Maybe you do, or maybe you don't. I'm not sure. But
well, I'm not exactly sure. Let me let you down. I'm not exactly sure what a non-resident license is, but we do offer a cheaper alternative. You don't have to buy like an annual license. In Kentucky, if you're hunting small game, if you're fishing, you can buy a small game or a fishing license, which is like 1 day, 3 days, 7 days. I believe to get like a 3-day fishing license, it's like $25 or something. And I'm not 100% sure, but it's reasonably priced.
Expensive. Yeah, right. So.
Yeah. And Kentucky offers some of the best fishing there is. And I tell a lot of people that, and it's hard for people to understand, but I'm not saying that Kentucky has more shoreline than Florida, but we actually have more shoreline than really close to Florida, just because of all the lakes. Kentucky's bordered by the Ohio River through the north down to the west, where the bottom part of it is the Cumberland River, which is the Tennessee. And between all the small bodies of water, we have a great opportunity in Kentucky to get out and fish and get out and hunt. We have a lot of public land, and you're gonna find that out here soon.
Do you do a lot of bass fishing too down there, or not so much?
I bass fish a little bit, but I am more of a fish eater. So I like to do my part, as we were talking about bow fishing, get rid of invasive species of fish. However, I want to get out there and I want to crappie fish. I want to fish for white bass and hybrids. We have sauger fishing here. We don't have a lot of walleye fisheries, but we do have a few. But sauger are a very close cousin, very similar in taste, and they're a great fish to eat. And we have a lot of them here that run as well in February and March.
Right. Now you talk about you like to catch fish that you can eat. So that leads me on to what is one of your favorite fish recipes? Because I know you've got a lot of them, but what's an easy one that I can do that's good? Okay,
so my favorite all around, if I'm just frying fish, I'm going to use some Andy's fish batter, and they make about 3 different types. So if you like a spicy, they make a spicy red. Then they make just a red that's just a mild. And then what I like to do is I'll sometimes take the spicy and mix it with the regular and just kind of do a half blend. But I soak my fish in buttermilk. Sometimes we'll put them in beer. It just depends, if we're out camping or whatever. Sometimes you need something to get that batter to stick. And I've actually seen people use Sprite. I don't know. I've had it. It wasn't that bad, but you can use Sprite, but put it in buttermilk, get it coated, put it in Andy's, and then fry it. And it doesn't take long. I see more people than none. I'm very picky. I'm not saying I'm a great cook, but the way I cook, I like to try to make it good for everybody involved.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. So if you cook it too long, it gets chewy. Yeah. And I don't know how many times I went to people's houses and they ruined some of the best fish using what I just said. But as soon as it floats, take it off.
Well, hey, there you go. Another great fish recipe. Let's talk a little bow fishing. And I know you do a lot of that. Talk a little bit of what you actually are out bow fishing for, and then let us know for the person that wants to get into it, what kind of equipment do they need?
All right. So I've been bow fishing now for about 20 years and fished a lot of tournaments. And when I first started off just going to small little lakes, we would shoot common carp and buffalo. A lot of people eat buffalo. A lot of people like it. I actually have eaten buffalo. I'll talk about that a little here in a minute. But what my favorite fish is to go after is the Asian carp. A little history on the Asian carp. Kentucky and we have actually, as a state, have put more money in research trying to get rid of these things than probably any other state. I mean, and they're very bad at Kentucky Lake and Barkley, land between the lakes, and they've been spending millions of dollars to try to get them out of the lake. But it's like they're a nuisance. I love to shoot them, but I wish they were gone. And so the history of it is they used them in Arkansas to clean fish ponds out where they raise fish. So I actually knew a guy that I duck hunted on in Lone Oak, Arkansas, that had a fish farm, and they brought them in to clean the ponds after they was raising fish. Now, people ask, what type of fish did he raise? Well, he raised a lot of catfish, a lot of bluegill, a lot of crappie. And believe it or not, he raised them for Carolinas, for the Virginias that have hilly ground. They didn't have no place to raise their fish. So he actually sold them to their Fish and Wildlife. And then I believe it was 97, but it could have been a little earlier. A lot of them fish got out with the flooding. I believe they got into the Cache River and then went from there to the Arkansas and then into the Mississippi. Now, those fish were supposed to be sterile, but obviously they weren't. And their reproduction rate is insane. We're talking 1 million eggs and an 80% survival rating. Those fish grow so big in 1 year that a big catfish could eat it, but no other fish can eat them. They just grow too rapidly. But it gives you a big target. And we have shot some big head carp. I believe he's got some pictures here. We've shot some big head upwards of 60 pounds. And you know Jason Miles, and one of the fish that's in one of those pictures, Jason actually shot. It was his first fish, and I was telling him about how hard it was to hit him. And the first fish he shoots at, he hits, and it's a 60-pound Asian big head carp, one of the biggest I've ever put in my boat. And as far as equipment, it's the cheapest thing that you can get into. I mean, you can actually buy a recurve bow, and AMS makes a bow fishing bottle for like $75. You put it on there and you're ready to go fishing. Me personally, since we shoot Matthews, you know what I have. I've got about 3 old Matthews bows that I've rigged up, put AMS reels on it, and I do a lot of bow fishing for the Wounded Warriors, and I always get a lefty. So I got a left-handed bow and a couple right-handed bows. So, you know, when we take them hunting, we have bows for them as well.
So what you're shooting? Are you fishing, bow fishing at night, daytime, both? I mean, how are you doing that? With a light, without?
So the way we do, if we're fishing for silvers, which are Asian carp, that's a silver carp, I shoot them a lot of times in the daylight. And what we do, they're on the river and they're a plankton feeder. So they're feeding in the plankton, usually going against the current, and they're just kind of sucking the water. If you can see my hand, they're just sucking that scum and filtering it. And they filter a lot of water. That's one of the bad things, because they're taking a lot of that plankton that the small fish need, the minnows that the bluegill eat, and then the catfish that eat the bluegill. So it starts all the way at the bottom, and it's affecting everything along the way up. But we also shoot them at night. The way we do it is we just go against the current, and you'll actually drive up and you'll have a pod. There might be 50 fish in it, might be 200 fish in it, and you'll see them and they're just swimming along, and we use a light on our bows. Now, Asian carp, you can't run. You see these bow fishing people on TV, and they run all these big lights around the front of their boats. Well, them Asian carp have gotten smart. They see a light, they're gone, they dive. So what we've been doing is mount a light on our bow, and we actually pan for them. So as you're coming up, every so often you'll pan, and when you see them, you know, you have 3 shooters, so everybody's shooting into a pod, and it's possible to get 3 at a time. And that's how we're shooting the silver Asian carp. And we do a lot of other carp as well the same way. But when I start talking about the big heads, that's the ones that I'm really wanting to go after. And I hate to tell my secret, but if anybody wants to get in it, if you have barges around where you live and you're on a river, what I look for, if you can find barges with a rake up river, which means the flat side down, and it's empty, those fish they're actually so big and so lazy that they will come up behind the barges and just kind of drift, and they'll filter that plankton as it's swirling off the back of those barges, and they'll just stay there. And that's where we shoot our biggest fish because they're lazy. They don't want to swim. So,
well, and if you don't have all the equipment and you don't have a friend that's got the stuff, I know there's outfitters that you can book with and in a lot of different states. And it really is a great time. And I would encourage anybody that thinks it might be exciting to go out and try it. But well, I appreciate all that information. I want to jump into, as always, towards the end of the show, I go over the weekly special here. And it kind of ties into a little bit of what you're talking about, Mike. It's the Mike McDonald weekly special binocular, something that you can throw in your boat. It's the Alpen MagnaView 8x42 model 317 Poro style binocular. Now this is it's a super thick rubber. It's easy to handle in the boat and it's easy to clean. Now these are a pair of binoculars that, quite honestly, just take a beating. And I know how you put your equipment through the ringer. And here's an excellent pair that you can throw around. And if they get damaged, which are hard to damage to begin with, but if they do, you just replace them because we've got a great special. Normal price on these, the Alpen MagnaView 8x42s. Normal price is $129.99. This week's special through Sunday evening at midnight, we have a special price of $50. $50 for a 8x42. So all you have to do is go on to bresserusa.com and make sure that when you go in, you pick the model 317, and then type in the promo code On The Hunt, no spacing, small letters, and you'll get the discount. Again, regular price $129.99. This week's special $50, and you can't go wrong. You throw them in your boat, buy a couple of pairs, you throw them in your vehicle. I was just talking to a buddy of mine today. Well, John, we were out turkey hunting. I always take my binoculars out of my vest when we're in the vehicle to glass when we're driving around. And then all of a sudden I take my vest to the turkey woods and my binoculars are in the vehicle. So, having multiple pair of binoculars where you've got them in every vehicle and every boat, if you've got a couple, then you've always got a pair with you. But so once again, the Alpen MagnaView 8x42 model 317 binocular, $129.99 regular price. This week's sale, $50. So it doesn't get any better. Mike, I want to thank you for coming and helping us out with the show tonight. Next week's guest is Brenda Dugan, and we're going to talk a little bit about hunting and women in the outdoors. So, folks, thank you for coming along. We appreciate it. Mike, we'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. I'm safe.
All right.
Good optics are a must for a hunter. The new Alpen Tetons. They're lighter, they're better in low light, excellent glass. You'll be hard pressed to find that glass for under $1,000. Everything that you would want in a pair of optics. I know what I'm looking for, and once I know what I'm looking for and find what it is, that's what I'm interested in buying. The bottom line is they're affordable, they're lighter, and they're great in low light. The new Alpen Tetons. Another deer coming out. Here we are midsummer here in Iowa, and I'm just out doing some scouting, glassing deer, kind of taking an inventory of what I've got, and doing it from a distance. I've got one of the new Alpen spotting scopes. It's a 20x60, but one of the things I really like about this, it comes with a tripod, and it's got micro adjustments, so it's real easy to zoom in and move around and find those animals. But basically, this is a great tool to help me manage the farm all year round. If you're looking for a great way to do some scouting, do it in the evening from a distance with a nice spotting scope. Let's talk a little bit about Alpen and Bresser optics. Now they have a full line of optics, but what I want to talk to you now about is rangefinders. They have several different varieties of handheld rangefinders and the new bow rangefinder. Now for you bow hunters, you go ahead and sight in at 20 yards and you calibrate it to your 20-yard pin, and when you're at full draw, whatever you're pointing that 20-yard pin on an object, it'll tell you the yardage. So whether you like a handheld or you want to put one on your bow, we have both options for you here at Alpen and Bresser Optics.